Hi. Last year, the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity came out with a study. Actually, they studied specifically 623 ransomware in depth. It came out with some great insights. Some of them I'm going to mention to you here today. So, the first one is that they noticed that there were, in average, 10 terabytes of stolen information per month caused by these ransomware. So that is a lot of data. The second was 58.2% of all this stolen data had somehow, somewhere, GDPR data, so personal identifiable information for their customers. And that is sort of a easy to understand fact, because if these intruders are going for the information that impacts the mission of the organization, their corporate objectives, that information might be in there because the products that are sold or the services that are provided by the organization. So it's a greater chance that they were there. That information will be in this data being stolen, and that was the case for 58.2% of the case. Next insight was 95.3% of all incidents. They were not known by the company being hacked. So they could not identify how it started. So that comes another huge factor for organizations in trying to understand and establishing that risk-based cybersecurity program is to understand where they are, and then understanding what systems they are located and putting the right security controls in place in that layer security. Make sure that you have your SIM logging from your operating system, from your network routers, switches, firewalls, and also from your IPS, IDS, what have you, that you have in place, all these layers. Make sure they all are reporting to your SIM. And then having the appropriate triggers on your SIM, not only reporting, but having the appropriate triggers on the SIM to detect these type of attacks or behavior on a network that would trigger some type of investigation by your team. So make sure they are in. You're going to do this layered, right? It will be heavy logging on those systems because they are the most critical to the organization. That doesn't mean you're going to do this heavy throughout your network. You have to have that layer based on risk. So on these systems that support the mission and the corporate objectives, you make sure that you, when you log the operating systems log, that you do more than just fail log on, that you go in there and you log everything. You log all the available logging mechanism on the Windows or Linux or Unix system that is sent to the SIM. Same for the firewall, switches, routers, IDS, IPS, and so forth. So this way you can build that breadcrumb and understand where the attacker went from that point on. Remember, most of these attacks might be on the network for a while. So it's good to understand where they came from, where they initiated. So it's, once again, you do that forensic, that look back, the lessons learned, and you have that information for you to provide to your technicians so they can investigate. Next is an estimated 60% of affected organizations have paid the ransom from ransomware against all advices from organizations, law enforcement organizations, that you should not pay, but engage them in investigation or during this process. But 60% they pay. Also easy to understand because they are locking the systems that supports the mission and the corporate objectives of the organization. So it's easy to understand why the pressure mounts towards paying versus engaging the law enforcement and dragging this out even longer. The law enforcement usually is engaged afterwards when they gain control of the systems for lesson learned investigations. Last but not least, they came out with a finding that 47 unique ransomware threat actors were found in these 653 ransomware incidents that were investigated during that period of time. And as a matter of fact, the period of time was between May 2021 and June 2022.